but I have asked this morning our very own Sister Mamie to share a testimony. God has just radically blessed her, and I'll let her tell about that, not just in the last year, but in the course of her lifetime. And she is a mighty woman of God, a prayer warrior, a friend to me, and a friend of this church. And we just rejoice in her faithfulness, and she's an example of godliness. I know that there are times Sister Mamie comes to church when she probably doesn't feel like it, but she comes anyway. And I appreciate that example of faithfulness. Sister Mamie, would you come? Give her a big welcome as she comes on up this morning.
I've been looking for this day a long time. I know the pastor says 5 minutes, but all I don't get in this service, I'll get it in the next service. I'm here because I love the Lord. And because let me give you a story. I remember the Lord came in my life at age 13. And I remember as if it was yesterday. I began to look at the people that had God in their life, and I looked at the people that didn't have God in their life. And I said, something's wrong here. The people that had God in their life, they was flourishing, they was growing, they was healthy looking. They seemed like they had plenty of life and joy. And I looked over that man that didn't have God in their life. Looked like they was drying up. They was older than the person that was serving God, even though in age they was younger. And I said, Lord, I know what road I want to travel. And I set foot on that road, Pastor, and I've been on it ever since. But you know, my testimony is I asked God after I lost my first husband, Lord, just let me raise my children. Let me just let them get grown. If you just spare my life until I can get them grown, I'll be all right. Well, I want to let you know the Lord did that. And as the twin girls got 16, then Johnny and Johnelle needed to be adopted at 3 months old. I said, Lord, I know I asked you to let me raise my children, but now you've given me 2 more children. I'm going to have to ask you again. Let me live long enough to raise them. Well, now Johnny and Johnelle is 27 years old. So the Lord have honored what I asked. So I said, Lord, now I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But first, my sisters, I envied them because they had such great testimony. What God, I know the Lord blessed me financially, raising these children, food in the cabinet, my knees, he healed those. But I wanted a big testimony. And I said, Lord, give me a big testimony. Sometimes you don't know what you ask. I don't know whether God had that in plan for me already, but when I asked, I went to the doctor. My husband went with me. And the very words that I thought I'd never hear, the doctor said, you've got cancer in the very last stage. I was speechless. And when he said, because of your age, we don't like to put you to sleep. Because of where it is, you'd have to have chemo and radiation. So I don't know. We'll just talk about it. Because it's where you might have to wear a colostomy bag on the outside. I'm listening to all this. And when I came home, I called the pastor. I say, the doctor said, I wasn't sad. I was in a state of shock. But then I came in the church and I sat on that back seat. That's why I still sit there. There's blessings on that pew. And the choir began to sing, wrap me in your arms, Jesus, wrap me in your arms. I got caught up in the song. I don't know how many of you guys have been to the hospital and they give you this warm blanket to keep you. I felt a warm blanket. It wrapped around me, and I heard from God. It said, don't wait till the battle is over. You can shout now. Do you not know it's a blessing in shouting at the beginning of your trials? Because even though you don't know, you know that God said he's going to do it, but have enough faith to start shouting at the beginning of them. When you can shout at the beginning of your trial, it don't matter what the rest of the trial is going to be. Well, I shouted. I took the phone from the pastor, and I shouted all over this church. I knew no matter what else came, God had spoke the word that I was healed. The children began to look sad. I looked upon them. I said, you know what? I'm in a win-win situation. If the Lord changes his mind, I'm going home a little bit early. If he don't change his mind, I'm going to stay as a living testimony. And every place I go, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's in the street, no matter where I am, I'm going to tell them of God's healing. So I went through all the chemo. First, I went in that hospital. And I looked. I was happy before I got there because I know what the Lord said. But when I walked in and seen all these women with eyebrows gone, their hair gone, my heart fell. I said, Lord, is this what it's going to end up being? Then I heard the voice again say, I didn't send you here to pity these women. I send you here to give them hope. When he said that, Pastor, everybody, I don't care how low they was, I had to talk faith in them. I had to do it because God said that was my job. That was my job. That was the reason I was in the place that I was in. And every time I'd go in for treatments, I did the same. They told me I would lose my hair. They told me I would lose weight. They told me that my mouth would be full of sores. Everything they told me, except losing the hair, it happened. There were times, you don't know, that I dragged in this church. All I could do to make it in. I would have been so sick till my entire mouth turned black. There were sores all over my mouth. There was saliva and blood. I couldn't even swallow water. But I kept on remembering what God said. And I knew when I got through all of this, it's when the joy is coming again. There was times I couldn't even do nothing for myself. I couldn't make my own bed up. I'd sit there and tell the girls, I don't like the pillows. Mama, you can't do it, so let us do it. And the Lord had let me know, leave it alone. There'll be times when you can do it yourself. But I said all that to say, my God is still in the blessing business. And when I went, I had the chemo. They said because of my knees, they had to send it directly through this front part because I couldn't get on my knees. And they said, well, some major organs might be damaged. And the more they said, the more I looked to God. They put me in this big machine, and it just turned, and everybody went out. I said, is everybody leaving me? And they said, yes. Because we don't want, this is radiation. We don't want that on it. And I said, Lord, are you there? And I heard a small voice say, I'm here. I went to sleep, let that machine do whatever it needed to do. I had chemo 24/7, round the clock, the whole thing attached to me. It just pumped chemo, poison in my body. But when I went back and they took the last x-ray before they said they was going to do the surgery, they said, we don't see nothing. They said, but because it might be some fragments, we'll just go in and go ahead and take them out so this will never come. Well, I want you to know, I smiled. Pastor came just before I went into the operating room. I jumped off that gurney and walked in that operating room. Pastor say, y'all think she's doing something now? She do that in church all the time. I looked at the pastor, I said, Pastor, if I don't see you no more on this side, I'll see you on the other side. You have to have that assurance in God. I had to have that because when God told me I was healed, he didn't expect for me to walk with my head hung down. He didn't expect for me to walk around, woe is me. I'm talking about me. I'm one of those 10 that came back to tell the Lord thank you. Because he done that for me. He didn't have to do it, but he did it just for me. And every day of my life, I'm going to give God his praises the rest of my life. Not only me, I've seen the miracles. I've seen the goodness in the land of the living. As I look at Brother Brent and his family, as I look at the Owens, as I look at Sister Maddie with double babies, but that's blessings from God. I look at my brother over here, that's a blessing from God. I told the pastor one day, I said, Pastor, I love you. I said one day that I will never be under a man that's young enough to be my child, but I changed my mind. I said, as long as you follow God, I'll follow you. But now when you stop following God, that's when I'm backing up. I said all that to let you know, God is still waiting to bless somebody. He just wants you to grab that faith, that little bit of faith, just to know that he can do it. And when God does it, it's done. And even now, everything that I see is brand new. I can sit on my patio, I can see even the trees, I can see the little buds come out. And God let me know, you are a new person. And I want you to know, yesterday is not the day. I stepped past after that serious surgery, I stepped in a brand new place that I've never been. And I don't care what nobody say. Satan should have got me when I was a young woman, because now I'm wide open for God. And there's no stopping me now. Why should I stop at age 77? What do I have to look back for? It's only smooth sailing ahead. And I know Satan is yet out there, and he feel like, well, Mike can't get her, but she got some children. That don't bother me either, because I put the children in God's hand, and I know Satan has already been defeated. He's under my feet. I can either step on him or step over him, but I'm going to see God. You have to look beyond whatever is in your way, whatever troubles you see. Don't look at the trouble. Look beyond it and see God.